Very warm welcome to this FSB webinar in conjunction with Microsoft entitled Transform Your Business, Leveraging Copilot Chat and Agents. I'm Matt Jaffa and I'm your host for today. Today I'm joined by Sarah from Microsoft. Sarah Baines is the Copilot Business Lead for Small Business at Microsoft, bringing a decade of experience in technology, people and organizational strategy. And Sarah Wicks is a go-to-market manager at Microsoft, where she specializes in AI and digital transformation. Today, the topics covered are going to include one, an introduction to Microsoft 365 Copilot, so understanding the basics of Copilot and its integration with Microsoft 365. The real-world use cases, discovering practical examples of how small and medium-sized businesses are using Copilot and Copilot Chat to improve productivity and collaboration, exploring Copilot Chat, AI literacy, so building that literacy with free, secure Copilot Chat for all your employees, enhancing business processes with agents, exploring how AI agents can automate tasks and optimize workflows, and finally, the strategic AI implementation and gaining actionable insights on developing and executing an AI strategy tailored to your business. Today's session will be recorded and will be available shortly on our on-demand page on our FSB website in case you want to watch it back again or share with your colleagues, your customers, your clients. And if you aren't an FSB member yet, I would encourage you to do so. We'd love to have the opportunity to speak to you further about FSB benefits after the event itself. So if you are interested, please do look at our website, www.fsb.org.uk. And we can signpost you and you can speak to a member, a fantastic membership advisor who will hopefully sign you up. So without further ado, I would now like to hand over our key speakers today, Sarah and Sarah.
Thanks very much, Matthew. Hello and welcome to our webinar today on transforming your business, leveraging Microsoft 365 Copilot, Copilot Chat and agents. As Matthew mentioned, my name is Sarah Wicks, and today I'm joined by my partner in crime and namesake, Sarah Bain. We like to make it confusing by presenting together. The agenda slide will show that today we have a packed agenda. Hopefully you've heard of Microsoft 365 Copilot, the AI assistant that helps you work smarter and faster. But if not, don't worry. You've come to the right place to get a really good understanding today. Microsoft 365 Copilot is more than just another tool, it's your partner at work. It adapts to your preferences, goals and context and helps you achieve more than ever before. It works alongside popular Microsoft 365 apps that you're probably already using every day, such as Word and Excel, etc. Today, we'll dive a little deeper than Microsoft 365 Copilot and introduce you to the concept of agents too, showing you how you can unlock even more possibilities for your customers with generative AI. You'll learn how agents can expand Copilot's knowledge and skills, or even operate autonomously to complete tasks on your behalf, right out of the box, using no code, low code, or even pro code. The options really are endless. And so, moving on, are you ready to discover a whole new way of working with AI? Well, let's dive in. Human labour is reaching its limits. I know what you're thinking. This sounds a little bit dramatic, but bear with me here. Coming out of the pandemic, we adjusted to a whole new way of working, jumping from one online meeting to the next, back to back. And although life is thankfully in a much more normal state now, the way we work has continued with the online meeting fatigue, although now also interspersed with face-to-face engagements now and again too. Yet 80% of employees and leaders say they don't have enough time or energy to do their jobs, whilst 53% of leaders say productivity must rise. This is research from our latest Microsoft Work Trends Index. A link we will make sure to share after the webinar. But this is in-depth research shows that 82% of leaders expect to use digital labour to expand their workforce in the next 12 to 18 months. Most businesses are not starting their AI transformation from the ground floor. People are already using AI in the workplace. Microsoft research indicates that 75% of global knowledge workers are using AI at work. at a rate that's nearly doubled in the last 6 months. The volume of data, emails, chats that employees have to deal with on a daily basis has accelerated beyond their ability to process it all. Does this sound familiar in your organisation? Does it mine? This intense pace of work is overwhelming. So more and more small and medium businesses are leveraging AI as a tool to keep up with their jobs and spend more time on strategic and creative work. Because knowledge workers are so eager to reap the productivity rewards from AI, our research has found that 78% of employees have started bringing their own AI tools to work, known as BYO AI. Sorry, if we could just skip back a slide. When they don't have the guidance or clearance from their leaders, employees are taking matters into their own hands, and it's even more common at small and medium-sized companies, a staggering 80%. And it's not just the Gen Z, it's BYO AI, bring your own AI, cuts across all generations. And so AI can be a game changer in addressing the challenges that you and your teams might be facing in getting work done. The complexity and rapid pace of tasks to be completed is overwhelming for everyone. Perhaps these stats resonate with you too. 71% of small and medium businesses report lacking energy to get their daily work done, with half requiring more focus time. I really relate to this. I block out focus time in my calendar every day, so it's ring-fenced for me to do just that, focus. And now AI can help you save time so you can focus on what matters most to you and your business, and maybe have more time to be more innovative and think strategically. And finally, we all know how frustrating it is when you know there's a file you've worked on maybe 12 plus months ago, and you need to reference it again and struggle to find it. While 61% of small and medium businesses believe they're spending too much time searching for the right information or data when they need it. But AI is proving to be a critical tool for retrieving information and data in just a few clicks. The way AI transformation supports businesses to grow is twofold, and it's a helpful way to think about this is to maybe break it down with your two hats on, personal and business. Better personal productivity leads to individual efficiency, time savings, and increased creativity. Increased business value drives revenue growth, cost optimization, and employee well-being. We see an enormous opportunity to use AI to create a new way of working to increase value and reduce costs across your organization, regardless of its size. We're already seeing 79% of small and medium business leaders say AI adoption is critical for their companies to remain competitive. And 80% of small and medium business users are bringing their own AI tools to work. With so many employees already using unofficial solutions, it's clear employees understand the value and opportunity of investing in AI tools. But 49% of small and medium business users are reluctant to admit using AI on their most important tasks. You could liken this to solving a really complicated mathematical equation and not wanting to admit using a calculator or Excel to help you. Really, there's no shame in using AI to assist you. It is a paradigm shift in how we work, so I can see why there could be some reluctance, but it is simply another tool that can help you to do your best work. At Microsoft, we openly share how we use AI with each other. In fact, we celebrate it and share best practices so we can all learn from each other. In fact, we even share tips on how we can use Copilot to help us write our end-of-year reviews. And so moving on, let's start with a pivotal shift in the world of work. AI has reached this kind of tipping point. Intelligence is now available on tap, transforming how businesses operate and how work can actually get done. Microsoft's latest Work Trends Index highlights the rise of frontier firms. Now, these are organizations powered by hybrid teams of humans and intelligent agents. For decades, intelligence was scarce and costly. Now, with AI that can reason, plan, and act, it's abundant, scalable, and on demand. This shift is reshaping organizational structures. Instead of rigid functions, we're moving from dynamic work charts. We're moving towards these more dynamic work charts where teams form around goals and disband when the work is done, enabled by agents acting as researchers, analysts, or creative partners. As agents become part of the workforce, we'll see the rise of what we call the agent boss, someone who builds and manages teams of agents to scale their impact. Every employee will need to think like the CEO of an agent-powered startup. So, how do you become a frontier firm? Well, the good news is that small and medium businesses might already have the upper hand. With leaner organizations, fewer silos, and a bias for action, small and medium businesses are built for agility. And we're already seeing them embrace this new way of working. And so we definitely aren't running out of work, but we are running out of human capacity to do it. And leaders know this to be true. 24% of SMB leaders are using agents today. 79% of SMB leaders are confident they'll use digital labor to expand workforce capability in the next 12 to 18 months. And at Microsoft, we see AI as a powerful tool to drive real business value. To maximize your AI investments, focus on these 4 pillars. First, enrich employee experience. Use AI to boost productivity, engagement, and job satisfaction, helping to attract and retain top talent. Second, reinvent customer engagement. Leverage AI for personalized, scalable customer interactions to really deepen relationships and grow your business. Third, reshape business process transformation. Redesign processes with AI-first thinking to streamline operations and amplify results through tools like agents and copilots working alongside your team, amplifying human ambition and getting more work done. And finally, bend the curve on innovation. Apply AI to speed up product development and market launches, staying ahead of the competition. AI can accelerate your innovation cycle, helping you to stay ahead and drive business growth. These 4 pillars provide a practical checklist for impactful transformation. Now, we have some great examples of small and medium businesses who are driving business value by leveraging these 4 pillars. Sarah will talk a little bit more about the customer success stories later on. But if you are interested in learning more about small and medium business customers like you who are embracing AI, we will share a link to our customer stories in the follow-up. Now, 2025 really did kick off with AI momentum. On the 13th of January, the UK government's imperative was clear. Apologies. The UK government's imperative was clear in their AI Opportunities Action Plan. AI will drive incredible change for us in the UK, from personalising lesson plans to supporting small businesses with their business processes. It has the potential to transform the lives of working people. And the Prime Minister was clear in the call to action. We must move fast and take action with AI to win the global race. So now we've set the scene on the art of the possible with AI for your business transformation, I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about Copilot, and there are 2 layers I'd like to walk through. One is Copilot Chat, and the other is M365 Copilot. So, starting with Copilot Chat. This is a new way for every organization to quickly and securely scale AI adoption, so no employee is left behind. This is available at no cost to all Microsoft license users. So if your organization already uses apps like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc., you will likely be able to use Copilot Chat too. But what is Copilot Chat and why should you be interested in it? Well, Copilot Chat combines 3 valuable capabilities in one. The most important to understand is that it's a free and secure AI chat tool that uses the latest technology and information from the web, powered by the latest models. In addition to chat, Copilot also includes agents that help automate business tasks. You can access these agents through the same chat interface. There are free agents that use instructions, websites, or uploaded files. There are also paid agents that can use your organization's shared data or third-party data. With paid agents, you only ever pay for what you use. And then finally, Copilot Chat offers robust IT controls, ensuring enterprise-grade security, privacy, compliance, and management. It provides the same level of security and privacy for chat as you get from M365 for your email and documents, so you can feel secure using Copilot Chat in your organization. Now, moving on to the second layer, Microsoft 365 Copilot. This is our best-in-class personal AI assistant. It includes everything we discussed that is available with Copilot Chat, but adds the ability to ground responses in your tenant work data. So not only does it provide responses from the web, it will also leverage your organization's data. This includes access and use of graph-grounded agents at no additional cost. You also get Copilot within the M365 apps your employees use every day, like Teams, Outlook, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, etc. And Microsoft 365 Copilot comes with advanced management capabilities and Copilot Analytics, a new set of advanced analytics to measure Copilot-driven outcomes. So you can ensure you're making the most of your Copilot investment. Now, Microsoft 365 Copilot is a paid license. And I know as soon as you hear this, you're instantly thinking, tell me the damage. So an annual subscription for M365 Copilot costs around £23.10 per user per month. The equivalent of the cost of, say, one branded polo t-shirt, one takeaway lunch per team member, or even an hour of a freelance bookkeeper's time to get a 24/7 AI assistant. Just some food for thought. But in all seriousness, we can share a link where you can find more information about pricing, information online, or of course, if you're working with a partner, they are best placed to support you with this information. So before I pass off to Sarah to share some M365 Copilot examples and dive into the exciting world of agents, I wanted to share an example of Copilot in action. And I wanted to light up Excel for you all. We have combined Copilot in Excel with the power of Python, one of the world's most popular programming languages for working with data, which means that Copilot can do advanced data analysis using natural language. So within minutes, you can work with data in Copilot to create a detailed summary of your data, all without writing a single line of code. So let's take a quick look at the video.
We are combining Copilot in Excel with the power of Python, one of the world's most popular programming languages for working with data. You're working on your company's annual revenue forecast, planning for the next fiscal year. Normally, you could spend hours running a manual analysis of the numbers. Now, Copilot can run Python in Excel, making your job a whole lot easier. In just a couple of clicks, Copilot does an advanced analysis, reasoning over 3 years of historical sales data. Like an analyst would, Copilot opens up a new workspace where you can experiment to get the insights you're looking for, all without altering your original data. It shows a preview of what it's reasoning over, creates a plan to analyze it in a way that's immediately useful, and executes it with Python, giving you a quick picture of your numbers. Now you're ready to iterate on Copilot's work. Let's ask it to forecast your annual revenue for the next 2 years. Copilot repeats the pattern, creating a plan for how it will tackle the task, running Python in Excel to execute its analysis, giving you a fast and detailed analysis, and prompting you to iterate and ask questions about its work. If you want to make any of the edits to the Python code itself, you can do so directly in the workbook. This is the power of bringing Python directly into the Excel grid. Let's take it a step further. You want to understand how best to meet your revenue goals. which customers have the highest potential upside. So you go back to your original customer data and ask Copilot to use advanced analysis to rank customers based on upsell opportunity. As Python in Excel gets to work, it jumps back to your analysis workspace. It prioritizes the most helpful metrics and provides a preview of the data it will use. It ranks them, and within moments, you have a prioritized table. You want to see a visualization of the customer ranking and understand the weighting methodology Copilot used. Copilot quickly creates a chart and gives you a detailed breakdown of how it arrived at the answer. Within minutes, you've worked with Copilot to create a full analysis of your data, all without writing a single line of code. And now you're ready to send the analysis to your sales team and collaborate on it together.
Sorry if that video was a bit fuzzy. We'll make sure that we share a link to the video in the follow-up, but hopefully you got the idea. It's pretty cool. You can just use natural language to be able to do really advanced analysis. It's like having your own data analyst at your side 24/7. So with that, I will pass back to Sarah.
Hi everybody, thank you so much. So I pre-recorded a little demo as well, just to bring this to life for you all. So if I click play. Perfect. So this is of my own environment. Recently we did an AI workshop with FSB, and in preparation there were lots of emails that were going around planning for the event. And so the day before I needed to make sure I had all the information that I needed. And so I went to the email thread and quickly used Copilot to summarize the email, as you can see here. So at the top of this, you can see the summarization. And then when you can see the numbers in boxes, I click on where that source has come from, and it's able to show me how it's pulling on that information. I then go to write a response via email, and I use that using try drafting using Copilot. You can see there's spelling mistakes in there. It's pretty quick, and it's able to adjust, make the email more formal, and I'm able to make it sound more like me. I do this with 99% of all the emails that I send, which makes spending time in my Outlook much quicker and much more efficient. So that was Outlook. Then I'm thinking about the event and the meeting that we had to prepare for it. Luckily, I used Copilot for that meeting, so I jumped to the AI summary that I used. Like I say, this is a real meeting that I used to summarize, and you can see in there Sarah's introduction. You can see that I'm jumping around and kind of going through the analysis that Copilot's given me. But what I really need to know is what are my actions in the lead up to this event? What have I committed to doing? So I'm then interrogating using Copilot and asking Copilot to summarize for me what are the actions that are specific to myself. So you can see here, Sarah to coordinate with Ali and Vicky on details and the agenda for the AI workshop, confirm attendance, etc. So, and you see when I hover over it, it's actually got the transcript in there. So I definitely committed to doing those things, so I better do them. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to demo for you is I'm at home here in a Word document, and I'm thinking about being a small business, a well-being business who's going to launch a new product. I've put here a protein product for a 6-month sales plan. I want to target 2,000 units of sales over this period. And so I'm asking Copilot to kind of help me with that blank page syndrome of how do I get started with a business plan to reach that 2,000 unit goal. So it's given me an overview of how I might think about creating a business plan to achieve that. So you can see all of the different subheadings it's given. It's a great starter for 10. It's not gonna replace me, but it's gonna get me thinking creatively. I've not necessarily got social media experience or thinking about engagement of customers or retention, campaign, monthly themes in there, conclusion. So it's got me thinking about a few different things. But what I don't think it addresses is how much budget, how much marketing money I would need to reach that 2,000 units sold. So I'm then interrogating again. I'm going back to Copilot, saying, "Great, but think about the budget that I would need to be able to do this." And you can see here it's come back with estimated cost for me 13,000. We work in dollars. I could have easily said, give this to me in pounds or a different currency if you wish. So you're able to interrogate it and prompt it to make those changes. So the first version that it gives you isn't necessarily the one that you have to go with. So I'm going to save this document because it's going to be helpful for what I do next. So you can see I'm going in here and I've titled it Health Launch for this new product that I'm launching. It's called Empower Protein Journey. So now I'm jumping into PowerPoint. I'm not particularly fancy with my PowerPoint skills. So I'm going in and creating a new presentation. And if you have a marketing person or you've worked with an agency who have given you kind of brand templates, you can actually upload your own brand templates and it will create a PowerPoint that meets those brand guidelines that you set. Because this is a fictitious company, I'm using one of the presentation designs that PowerPoint provides, which you could also use. So you can see I'm writing a prompt, which is I have a meeting with a potential investor. So I'm looking for that 13,000 investment, and help me, using the business plan in the Word document that I've created, help me create a presentation for that investor where I'm seeking that investment of the 13,000. So I've said thank you. I'm being very polite. And you'll see what I'm doing is I'm referencing the file. So I'm forward slashing and then attaching the health launch. So if you've got Copilot and you're not already pulling on different files, really encourage you to do it. That's where you're getting the real breadth of the capability, because what it's tapping into here is all of that great rich insight across the Microsoft graph, across my other files. So I've pointed it at that specific document. So you can see it's already come back with a structure of how it would go about presenting things. And I can move things around if I like, and I'm happy. So I'm going to then say generate slides. And so Copilot then is able to go away and create that document for me. Again, it might not be 100% perfect, but what it does is it's able to do it in the format that I've selected, that design format that I picked. So it's going to be a really good starter. So I don't have to start this exercise with that blank page. And if you think 2 minutes ago, I hadn't even got the Word document, and we're already jumping ahead and we've gone from the Word document into PowerPoint. So you see it's building out that structure. You can see all the titles of the sections populating from agenda, performance metrics, sales strategy, etc. that it's thought through. So this takes a couple of minutes because it's doing all this work for you. I promise it takes a lot less time than if you were to do it yourself. So it's just applying those designs, almost there, and then we'll see it come through and be able to edit it and take that through to the investment meeting. So you can see it adhered to all those design features that I selected, and here we are. So you see the agenda, the sales plan overview, my target to sell 2,000 units, that estimated budget of 13,000. And so hopefully this really shows to you in a couple of minutes what I achieved, that using your information, you're obviously experts in your businesses. So the more richness and insight that you're able to provide, the more amazing, hopefully, the resources that come through the other side from leveraging Copilot would be. So hopefully that was useful for you. So Sarah's given a really nice overview of Copilot Chat and M365 Copilot, and a few times in there the words agents were used, and I can see already in the chat a couple of people have asked questions about what are agents, what does this mean? And so agents really expand on Copilot's knowledge and are able to unlock even more possibilities with our customers with AI. So what are agents and how do they work? Agents are your AI assistants that can help you optimize business processes, enhance productivity across all of your business areas. So they're available in a different wide array of capabilities and tools. And there are a few key types of agents that span this spectrum. So from simple all the way to advanced levels of complexity. So if we start with the least complex at retrieval agents are designed with specific instructions on how to behave. They are overall objectives. They can kind of predefine rules and use guidelines set by you as the creator. And I'm going to give you some examples on the next few slides. The next is task agents. So they're slightly more connected to a specific workflow or process. They operate based on knowledge and skills and rules-based automation. Their primary purpose is to automate really repetitive tasks that you or your team do. And then finally, the thing that gets people very excited are these autonomous agents, which operate solely independently. So dynamically planning and learning from processes, they adapt to changing conditions and make decisions without human intervention. So you could probably think at the moment at tasks that you do every day, every week, and where they might fit on this spectrum. So it's worth just remembering everything that we've covered, Copilot Chat, M365 Copilot, and agents is all built on trust. So you might have heard of different AI solutions that might learn from your data, that you might not feel secure. But everything that we're covering today, we secure your data in rest and in transit. You are in control of your data. Your data is not used to train or enrich our foundational models, so we won't learn from it. It is completely yours. And you are protected against AI, security, and copyright risks. So that is consistent across everything. And the way that we really think about it is that Copilot as a brand will be your user interface. That's what UI stands for AI. So AI is confusing. There's a lot going on. Is it chat? Am I talking to it? Am I prompting? Am I doing an agent? It is the single kind of pane of glass for you to be able to work with artificial intelligence within your business. So when we think about agents, we've got a number of agents that are out of the box and ready to go. So these are great for a small business because we've built them for you. They're really, really helpful. So if you think, for example, a project manager agent can get you status on ongoing projects, or a facilitator agent can help you run a team meeting more effectively. So they're really nice out-of-the-box agents that are ready for you to leverage, especially if you think as a small business, you definitely won't have, most businesses wouldn't have somebody on each of these tasks. So it's a great way to help you scale. The one that really excites me and I use a lot is the research agent. So you think about launching a new product, going into a new market, entering a new country. You don't necessarily have the capability, the time, the expertise to think about the research that's needed to do to launch a new product into a new market. And so researcher is able to use this deep reasoning to go ahead, comb through the most advanced reasoning models that we have, as well as in-depth agents. And specifically, it combines OpenAI's deep research model with M365 Copilot, kind of the advanced orchestration and deep search capability. So really helping you to deliver insights and greater quality than you would have been able to before. So this is something I'm really excited about, and I'm going to show a video that will bring this to life for you.
Hi, I'm Ashok, and I'm excited to show you our new researcher agent in Copilot. Recent advances in LLMs allow AI to contribute like a team member. We've taken one of these models, OpenAI's O3 Deep Research, along with advanced orchestration in Copilot and deep search algorithms, and optimized it for work. The data you use every day. That's all your emails, meetings, files, chats, and more. Let's take a look. Now, let's say I work in product development and we're entering a new market. So I need help developing a product strategy for our expansion. I enter my prompt and researcher gets to work. It asks clarifying questions as a seasoned colleague would and uses my response to move forward. The agent takes my prompt, understands the task, and constructs a plan to reach an answer. You'll notice it reasoning over all of my work data in the Microsoft Graph, not just one file. Here, we can see its chain of thought reasoning. You'll see it working through the problem in real time. It builds an understanding of my product lineup, references recent meetings, and even pulls industry updates from the web. This process takes a few minutes, so let's jump ahead to the result. I got a really thorough response, in line with what I'd expect from a researcher on my own team. I can edit it in Pages where I can bring in my team to collaborate. What we just saw was built on the Microsoft Graph and the web. But researcher can also be connected to third-party data via connectors and can leverage other agents, like the sales agent, to connect to its rich data and access its logic. Only Copilot knows what matters to you at work, and researcher taps into that. It knows what's most recent and what files and data and meetings are most relevant to you. With researcher, now every employee has access to expertise on demand.
Perfect. So hopefully you can see why we're particularly excited about that one. So going back and thinking about agents, so before I spoke about out-of-the-box agents that are ready for you to go, so you can start using those today. We also have a number of agents. The way that you can think about them is almost where you don't have capability within your organization. You might not have a separate team for sales, marketing, customer service, legal, and that's very common within a smaller, medium-sized business. And so agents help you augment Copilot with the skills and knowledge to automate some of these tasks into these functions. If we think about them on this scale, at the most kind of inclusive and ready to go end with no code, you've got 4 users. You can use Agent Builder directly within M365 Copilot. So those simple agents are ready to go. If you've got Copilot today, you can start playing around with building some agents. All the way through to if you're looking to make more complex agents, you can start to use Copilot Studio, and then through to developers using Copilot Studio, AI Foundry, for example, and extending those agents into more tailored AI services. Some examples that we've got of a kind of this continuum of solutions. So if you look, you've got on the far left on those simple, you've got IT help desks. So how do I connect to our corporate network? How do I do a tracker on an agent for a status of a project? In the more task-based, you can see, a device refresh, things like budget management, all the way through to advanced. So lead gen, customer support agents on triaging other agents to solve a problem. And the next slide builds out a few examples of customers that have done these. So you can see Pets at Home in the UK is a really great example where they're using fraud detection to flag when they think there's any suspicious transactions. So agents are kind of showing up. We've got tens of thousands already in businesses today that provide employee support and help customers scale. So from a business value perspective, it's really important. We quite often feel like AI is a bit of a buzzword at the moment, and it's only the technology. And it's not about the tech, it's about your businesses and helping them to thrive, whether it's business value, optimizing costs, helping your employees thrive. And so we have recently received feedback from Forrester, who conducted a small business report into customers already using M365 Copilot. And they found this massive projected ROI over a 3-year period. So some really significant benefits for those leveraging the solution. And even at the low end, those, just using some of the M365 Copilot, in Outlook and in Teams at 132% ROI. So streamlining internal processes and enhancing productivity, helping them, stay ahead in a really fast-paced environment. And when we break that down into what we see across those small businesses, you can see a 6% increase in time to market, 20% reduction in operating costs, 61% increase in employee satisfaction, because you can imagine reduction in things like the mundane repetitive tasks. A few smaller businesses that I called out in this slide are Marola Health. So they're helping to deliver higher quality medical writing. So when their physicians are writing follow-up reports after appointments with patients, they're able to use Copilot to help them summarize, spend more time with patients rather than between clinics writing up their notes. Juice might be a brand that you've heard of. They are an organization that's growing really quickly. They're mobile charging stations. So they're using Copilot within their organization. Flow is a really interesting business. They're an expanding SMB business which connects private equity investors with entrepreneurs and startups looking for funding. Again, they were taking on lots of new hires, and they wanted Copilot to help them maintain a really high level of customer service. So Copilot helps them in doing that by tapping into what business proposals, what RFPs have been done before, so that employees can learn from those and scale as quickly as possible. So lots of examples. So where to start? Sorry. Not so common with you, not so used to using Zoom. So you can see here that we've got across the buckets of those increased revenue, optimized costs, and employees thrive, there's a lot of different places that you can start. So we tend to find customer service, sales, marketing, and HR are 4 great areas to get stuck in, because most businesses, no matter what industry, have those capabilities or need to have those capabilities in order to be successful. And so it's not just enough to give every user within your organization a Copilot license and magically expect that things are going to happen. And so what we find is actually being really intentional about what tasks within these functions happen and where can AI have the biggest impact. So for example, is it within sales and lead generation? Is it in HR with recruiting? And really getting specific about where can we prove out the use of AI within those functions. And we see that customers are really specific, have the most success, rather than just taking on a solution and hoping, we know whether it's Copilot or another generative AI, and hoping it works, but actually being really methodical around which solutions they're going to focus on. And then what we've built out here is the KPIs. So for example, if it was on the lead generation, what's going to be the KPI off the back of that? What's going to be the impact measure? Is it going to be opportunities pursued? Is it going to be the deal size? Is it going to be the win rate? And getting really, really tactical and specific about where you're able to feel the benefit of using these technologies and measuring the business value within your organization. So finally, I wanted to touch on some adoption best practices. What we find, like I said before, is it doesn't work if we just take on a new technology and the training and the adoption isn't there. So leadership is imperative. So making sure that the leadership within your organization really see the opportunity for AI, sponsoring AI, and see it's critical for the business to go after those high value scenarios. So some of the best practice we see is thinking about an AI strategy from leadership team, thinking about governing and AI security within that leadership position. The next is that business scenario. So a bit about what I was showing before, like what are the scenarios where you're really going to make a change within the organization? And human change requires a dedicated work stream. So user enablement, training, skilling, what are the best practices, getting a user group within your team to share how they're using it. And then technical readiness. So things like your security, your infrastructure, technical skilling, and making sure that you've got all 3 of these underpinned by your responsible AI strategy of how you're going to use AI and what you as a company feel is aligned to your values. So those are the 3 essentials. When we talk about that human change, a lot of people on this call might have some form of AI but not feel like they're getting a lot of value from it. One acronym that is really useful to use is GCSE, something that's quite easy to remember for a lot of people on the call. So when you're writing a prompt, think about goal, context, source, and expectation. So you can see here an example I've got. So generate 3 to 5 bullet points to prepare me for a meeting with a client to discuss phase 3 of brand campaign. Focus on email and Teams chat since June. Please use simple language so I can get up to speed. I'd take a screenshot of this. Next time you use a generative AI solution, use this to make sure that you get the most from your prompt. Likewise, if you've got Copilot already and you're not seeing the value, these are the top 10 places that we find customers get the most value from Copilot. So recapping a meeting, Teams and Outlook are the 2 biggest places that our Copilot customers spend the most amount of time with M365 Copilot. So recapping Teams meetings, summarizing email threads, drafting emails are the quick wins. But also you can see here summarizing documents all the way through to Word and using Teams chat, using Copilot Chat as well. So there's a whole prompt gallery available that I've hyperlinked for you there at the bottom. The last couple of slides that I've got for you. So we've got a success kit for small and medium-sized businesses. It's got in there the technical readiness to get you started, what you need to think about when you're designing this across your organization, implementation checklists. It's got onboarding emails, it's got communications for your team so they don't feel fearful, they feel excited about this being an investment into how you make their work more exciting. And I really encourage you to take a look at that hyperlink because it's really, really exciting stuff that they've built out for you in there. And like I said, we've got this scenario library. So if you're thinking, I don't have a person on HR, well, great. Copilot can help you. So spend some time on our scenario library for HR or marketing or sales, and you can see how a day in a life would look like for using marketing as an example with Copilot enabling you to do more. There's some examples and functions available in the scenario library that cover such a spectrum as well as by industry. So you can drill down to like legal or healthcare. So people have spent a lot of time building that out, and we get a lot of good feedback from our customers. So I really encourage you to spend some time there. And with that, that is the end of our prepared content. So I believe we're going to switch across to Q&A.
Thank you very much to both Sarahs for those great presentations, really detailed, lots of food for thought. What made me think so much is how agile small businesses are from your presentation and how they can really benefit from a lot of this. There's lots of chat in the Q&A, and you've tried to answer as we've gone along. So there's been a high volume of questions. We'll try and get through a few more, but a couple from me to start, particularly around how you train or staff and how you can maximize your teams to effectively get trained using these AI tools. It's fine for the small business owner, but from your perspective, Sarah B, how can the teams benefit the most, and how can they, get the maximum benefit of productivity from these Copilot and Microsoft 3 Copilot Chat?
Yeah, bless you, Sarah. We're in hay fever season. So in partnership with FSB, we've actually developed AI for small business training course. So it's available on FSB's website, and it's a series of modules. I think there's about 13 modules that we take you through. You get a badge at the end and a formal Microsoft accreditation as well. And it's aligned with FSB. We've got actually your chairman opens the course. So I really encourage people to have a look on the FSB landing page. And I'm sure if we could pop it in the follow-up note as well, it's a really great course that we've specifically designed for small business.
Great stuff. And just for you, Sarah W, there've been a few comments in the questions and answers around this particular issue, but I'll just raise it from my perspective about how does Microsoft 365 Copilot compare with the other kids on the block like ChatGPT in terms of business use case studies and data privacy?
Thank you. That's a really good question, and we get asked this a lot actually. So Microsoft 365 Copilot and ChatGPT both use large language models, but they serve different purposes in a business context, especially when it comes to data privacy and integration. So in terms of like business use cases, think of ChatGPT as more of a good generalist. It's good at answering questions, drafting content, or brainstorming ideas, but it doesn't know your business. Microsoft 365 Copilot, on the other hand, is like more of a trusted colleague who knows your files, your meetings, your emails, and your calendar, because it's embedded directly into the Microsoft 365 apps you already use, like Word, Excel, Outlook, and Teams. For example, instead of just asking Copilot to write you a proposal, you can ask it to draft a proposal based on last week's meeting with the Federation of Small Businesses and the Q2 sales deck. So it pulls from your actual documents and conversations to create something tailored and relevant. Data privacy is where the difference really, really matters though. As I discussed earlier, Microsoft 365 Copilot is built with enterprise-grade security and compliance in mind. So your data stays within the Microsoft 365 environment. It's not used to train any of the underlying AI models, and it's never shared with third parties. By contrast with public tools like the ChatGPTs, unless you're using a paid enterprise version with specific controls, your data might actually be used to improve the model. That's a red flag for businesses who are handling any kind of sensitive information. So I guess like thinking about an example from one of my customers, a small business owner I spoke to said using Copilot felt like having a really like super efficient assistant who already knows where everything is filed. And that is really the power of grounding AI in your own data. And we'll share a link on Copilot data privacy and security for anybody who'd like to dig even deeper into this topic, because I know it's a hot topic.
Yeah, I would just like comments from Claire talking about how secure is it to use Copilot. Kerry, is it safe to upload? Deepak, how do you know and trust outcomes generated by Copilot and that they're correct? I suppose that element of where businesses journey through the GDPR process and making sure they are compliant is so critical to their business and their
Absolutely.
operations. And you only need to see currently the number of businesses who are being targeted by cybercrime of how big an issue it is. So I think that's that having that assurance of what assurances you can give from that perspective is so important and vital to those small businesses.
Yeah, completely agree. And as I said, we have some links that we'll share to follow up, because I know that people like to dive quite deep into the detail. So we'll share some follow-ups.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. We'll share links. I'll mention at the end of the call on with follow-up emails afterwards. Some questions. There was again link with Marianne and Michael in the chat as well, talking about using old Outlook. How do you get Copilot? I use Windows 365. Maybe just touch upon businesses that have got those standard subscriptions and their journey, what their journey is moving forward, and what they need to look for in the next couple of weeks if they're looking to adapt this new technology.
Yeah, I mean, the good news is that Copilot is available in Classic Outlook as well as New Outlook. So I did pop a link to one of the answers to a blog which explains more information on that. But the good news is, whether you're using New Outlook or Classic Outlook, you can still use Copilot.
Great. Just to touch on the environmental impact, we talk about growing, carbon footprint and data centers. What's the environmental impact of AI and Microsoft's growing footprint, particularly with the kind of the large amount of data centers currently? I don't know which one wants to answer that question.
Yeah, I can take that. It's something that we get quite a lot of questions about, because, like you say, AI's impact continues to accelerate at such an unprecedented pace that we quite frequently get questions around the environmental impact of it. So in 2020, we set a really ambitious target to be carbon negative, water positive, and zero waste by 2030, which was pretty ambitious then. And then since then, AI and the kind of adoption has gone through the roof. And what's really pleasing is we are continuing to work towards that and remain dedicated to creating that sustainable future. What's also really, really pleasing is Microsoft does not buy offsets. So this is not achieved through purchasing offsets. We explicitly avoid purchasing, those traditional kind of carbon offsets or avoidance credits. We don't do that. Instead, what we do is we focus on carbon removal projects. So we actually work to physically extract CO2 from the atmosphere. So I think what sets Microsoft apart from our competitors is its genuine decarbonisation through the entire network. So all the way through our data centres and not on offsets. And we invest really heavily in that long-term carbon removal. So hopefully by 2030, it's looking positive that we will be totally carbon negative, water positive, and zero waste. So we've just released a report in May. I think May is Earth Month. And so we kind of go big in May to give an update on the progress towards those commitments. So I'd have a little look at that. Also, feel free to connect with Sarah and I on LinkedIn. I shared this report last week. So very happy for people to connect and see those kind of regular updates. But sustainability is really close to our heart, because it's something that you can imagine a lot of people are saying, this is fantastic, we've got these great tools, but what is the impact on our planet? And we feel really, really positive that we are the market leader when we think about the sustainability goals that we have and the progress we make.
Thanks for that. Question from Maggie, and I suppose this is where we come into the whole breakdown of micro, small, medium, large businesses. Do you have, as you're talking about the comparative costs of different levels of Microsoft Copilot subscription, so those subscriptions for small businesses, how do you tailor them? What's the kind of cost or price structure that Microsoft have in this area? Which might, yeah.
Shall I go here?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. AI is very expensive. It's very expensive for us as Microsoft to run. So the way that the cost structure works for our licenses is the same for our small, medium businesses, as well as our enterprise customers, as well as our public sector customers. So that kind of £23.10 per user per month for an annual subscription is largely what you would expect to find, regardless of the size of your business.
No, thanks for that. I had another question from Peter. Might be a bit niche, this one, but can I use any apps beside Otter? I go into meetings now where Otter is currently always in the meeting with me, writing down the notes, but to record in-person meetings. But is that something, again, that's focus, as we are all in meetings constantly now.
Yeah, I've been in a few meetings. I once had a customer bring their otter
Yeah, bring
to the meeting. Unfortunately, not a cute otter, just
no,
the
no, they never are.
otter AI. Yeah, so if you think about the full spectrum of all the value that M365 Copilot brings, one of the things that I had in my demo was Teams meetings and taking the notes. That is just really what Otter provide. If you then think about how I interrogated those notes, do you remember I asked, what are my actions? I looked at the summary, I looked at the transcript, I looked at Sarah's introduction, all of that interface of, hey, what are my notes? What are my actions? Then going into an Outlook, and then writing an email or interrogating Teams and asking to pull all of my actions from the week. It can bring that wealth of the graph together. So um, I'm not totally up to speed with the cost per license of Otter, but if you think about all of these different point solutions, and if you end up purchasing a number of them, they can really add up. And we feel pretty confident that the difference with M365 Copilot is it can be that end to end. It can do the AI assistant through to agents and all of that automation. If you think about what it can do with the tasks from retrieval through to autonomous. And so I would encourage you to think about where you're spending your money today, and those tasks can really add up, because that Teams meeting functionality already exists within Copilot and so much more.
And just from AI agents perspective, how can they be integrated into existing business workflows? Automatic, routine tasks and everyday routine tasks, bring up staff for higher value activities. How can that be used?
Yeah, so it's already in M365 Copilot, so it's there ready to play. Sarah and I make them quite frequently. They can take minutes because they're just used, they're created using natural language. So you can literally say, create me an agent that pulls in information about this customer to help me prepare for a meeting or whatever it might be. You literally use natural language. So it's pretty quick. If it's within your M365 environment, it is really, really seamless because you can imagine it's pulling from everything. It's already within that environment. But the amount of APIs that we have are thousands. So whatever business solution that you're using, if it's a relatively well-known brand, it will also have an API that plugs in so that you're able to use that with M365 Copilot and agents. So for example, in the legal sector, I frequently meet law firms who don't host their client information within SharePoint or within OneDrive. That's very common within legal. So they might be M365 customers, but they're not putting their client information into a Microsoft application. That's totally fine. No, loads of law firms that then use an API to connect into that client management system and pull information. Likewise, CRMs doesn't need to be that you're using a Microsoft CRM. You could be using another solution, but the amount of APIs that are out there is really, really common that you can have a little look. So I'd just search for the API connectors, but like I say, we're talking in the thousands, and more keep coming on every week. So I think you should feel pretty confident that the majority of business type solutions are being used. That by businesses in the UK will have those API connectors.
Stuff. Well, with that, our hour is nearly up. Just the final question to both of you is just the initial piece of advice. You've got businesses about to go to lunch or watching it today. Before they break on their lunch, what piece of advice can you give them now so they can do something in the next hour or within the next 4 or 5 hours, the rest of their day, that they would take away as this, what they could do next? I don't know, Sarah B?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we don't quite know at what point in your journey different people on this call are. Copilot Chat is free. So my simple call to action would be go and use that and have a play. If you're using another technology, as Sarah pointed out in the first question, it might be using that your information to train or enrich their data models. So Copilot Chat is that secure way you can feel really sure that we're not learning from the information that you use. So that would be my call to action is have a play around with Copilot Chat.
Thanks. And Sarah W?
Great. So completely echo what Sarah's saying. I would build on that by saying start with Copilot in the apps that you already use, especially Outlook and Word. So we know many small and medium businesses already heavily rely on Outlook and Word for their day-to-day operations. And what they might not realize is that with Microsoft 365 Copilot license, it is already embedded in these tools, ready to help them kind of work smarter and harder. So instead of learning a new tool or changing workflows, you can simply start by asking Copilot to help draft emails, as Sarah showed us, summarize long threads, or even rewrite content in a more professional tone, all within Outlook. Or in Word, Copilot can help generate proposals, polish reports, or reformat documents with prompts on such as make this more concise or rewrite this for a customer audience.
Brilliant. And with that, our time is up. That was a very quick hour. Thank you very much to those who have tuned in, especially those who submitted questions. We got through as many as we could do. For anyone who's registered for the event today, you will receive an email with all those links that both Sarah's mentioned throughout the hour, and resources mentioned on the webinar. Plus, the video will be available to watch again if you missed something or if you want to recap or something, and you can share it with your all your people you know in your networks. We have another 2 webinars in this series, one that's already on our on-demand page and another taking place at the same time, so 11 o'clock on the 24th of June on modern accessibility, developing a digital inclusive strategy for all users, and we'd love to see you there. But if you can't make it, that session will also be available on the on-demand page. If you enjoyed this event today, we always love to hear positive feedback from members, plus non-members as well, who will eventually become members, of course, on our Trustpilot review page. We really do appreciate it. And finally, a massive thank you to Sarah Wicks, Sarah Baines from Microsoft for your support on this event. You can now visit the Microsoft AI Hub on FSB's website for more information. It will be on the link, but just so you know, you can take it down, www.fsb.org.uk/resources/content-hubs/AI. I'm not going to repeat that. It will be available on the link after this when you get this email follow-up. So thank you and goodbye, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you.